Hi everyone, this is Elizabeth for 40 and Fish. Today I'm going to talk about converting houseplants and putting them in your tank. So if you look behind me, you can see that I already have some plants in the tank, and besides the aquatic ones. I'm talking about the creeping Jenny behind me. And then if you look over here, I have, let me lift this up so you guys can see, I have some pothos. So the pothos has been adding about a new leaf a week. So we know that it's pulling nitrates out of the water. The creeping Jenny is doing its job as well, pulling everything else out too. But I have 3 plants that today I'm going to try for the aquarium. So first off, I wanted to show this planter. It's called Outside the Sleeve, or it's by Outside the Sleeve on Etsy, and I'll link in the description below. But that's what I'm going to use to put the following plants in here. Okay, so in the planter, I'm going to put 3 plants. The first one is a maranta plant. It's a prayer plant. It's actually related, it's in the same vein as caletheas. I actually was going to put a calathea in here, but I figured that would be too finicky of a plant to try to do this. Now this is also a good time for me to backtrack and also say I don't know if this experiment will work, because I've gotten lucky with creeping Jenny and pothos, and honestly you can put those 2 plants and stick them anywhere and they're going to grow. That's kind of how they are. But from my understanding and research, converting plants to hydroponics, whether you're using leca or I don't know, just anything, can be difficult. And the big thing to keep in mind is the pH of the tank or the water that's being used. So that's why a lot of people will get distilled or reverse osmosis water when they're doing hydroponics, and then they add in, fertilizer like this. Now, I'm not putting this in my tank. The fertilizer is the fish poop that I have, right? The waste that's in there. But these guys might not like it, so we're gonna try. But I've heard people online saying they've had great success with these, so I'm gonna try it. The second plant is an inch plant. It's kind of a trailing vining plant too. And all of these plants are in a little bit of rough shape, and that's because I haven't watered them in a while, because I'm about to do step 2, which I'll show you in a bit. And then the last plant I'm really excited about is the spider plant. And I can't remember what variety or what type it is. If you know, put it in the comments below. I'd love to know. Okay, so the next step is we're going to take these out of their pots, and we are going to take all of the dirt out off of their roots. We're going to look for any evidence of root rot. We're going to get rid of that, but we have to completely get all the dirt off. Why? Because if we leave it on, it could rot in the aquarium, cause nitrites, nitrates to spike. Ammonia is going to be the first thing that spikes, though, obviously. And so we want to make sure all the dirt's off, and that way the roots are going to be more likely to convert. So that's what I'll do next, and I'll be right back. And I'm back, and that literally took me about 10 minutes. It was easier than I thought it was going to be. And one thing that I did different, which I had a feeling, because I've worked with plants long enough, everyone online was like, yeah, get the roots wet before getting it out of the soil. And I knew that was just going to be an issue. I waited until these plants were like bone dry, and then it just crumbled off. And then I used the sprayer. I was able to get these off. So right now my maranta plants, they look like this, which is weird. I don't know if you can see, that camera might not adjust. It has only a few little roots, this one, the root system. And you're gonna notice there is dirt. I try to get most of it off. And again, looking online, from what most people say, you're not gonna be able to get it 100% off. But looking at what other people have done, this is pretty good enough. My 2 inch plants right here, and again, like I said, not perfect, but like, it's interesting to look at their root systems. And then I almost thought these were books when I first dried them off, or not dried them off, took them out of the dirt. Look at those roots. Isn't that insane? And so I really think everyone says that besides pothos or pothos, however you want to pronounce it, that spider plants like do super well converting to water. So here's what's going to happen though. I'm going to show you a more normal looking plant. Is that some of these roots are going to kind of rot off, like usually the smaller ones. Here, let me see. This might be better. Like, I don't know if you can tell, like the main stems, the tiny little hairs on here are gonna rot off. Like that's gonna happen. And then it's gonna grow thicker aquatic roots over the next few weeks. And that's gonna be the conversion process. The key here is we're gonna see if it likes my pH, which is about 6.8. It's a little less than 7, which is neutral. So we'll see. And supposedly houseplants like the lower end, and I was confused because again, creeping Jenny, which is already an aquatic type plant, so I shouldn't count. The pothos over there converted fine. So maybe we're just overthinking it. We'll see. And of course, I will always do an update video in a few days' time. But our next step is going to be attaching it to this. So originally I was going to fill this with leca and then plant it in there, you know, just kind of like your typical aquaponics. I decided I don't want to do that because it's going to allow, while that'd be great for the tank in theory, I've just heard where it allows a lot of rot and stuff in an aquarium situation. I could be wrong, especially in a bigger basket like this that's going to hold multiple plants. So instead what I've got, on Amazon, I bought these Christmas light holders, and I'm going to use these to attach the plants to basically right here and around. And this basket is really for a couple things: to allow the roots to grow into and the fish to kind of stay out. Like obviously fish are going to be able to go up and under, over. I'm sure my mono shrimp will, but I don't want the fish constantly eating. I noticed they eat at the pothos roots a lot, and I have a special pothos carrier in there, but I want to try to avoid that. So that's why I got this bigger basket, since I got multiple plants. We'll see. That could totally not work out, but let's see the result when I come back. So the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. So originally I was planning on using these, which I'm still going to try to do with these other plants, but these spider plants are too skinny. And I thought, oh, well, don't worry, they got the root system, but that root system's fragile despite it being clunky, and this is a very thin top. And so as soon as I'd set it in, it would just whoop, fall through. So I used basically kind of like electrical bread tie kind of stuff, you know, like you get in electronics, the black tie wire. I've used that in my aquarium several times, no adverse effects. So that's what we're doing. I'll get back to you. Let's see how this looks at the end. Okay, so I've got everything set up together, as you can see here. Some are using those bread ties, some are using the clips. We're gonna set this in the tank, see what it looks like. Alright, and here's the final result. As you can see, these guys, I already bought them like seedlings, were really young, so they're not very tall yet. Hopefully the idea is that they'll get bigger and start trailing. Here's a better shot of the pothos that you can see right there, and of the creeping Jenny. And hopefully these guys are gonna help. So we're gonna see how this goes. But that's all that I have for you guys today. Here's kind of the underwater shot, as you can see. The one bad thing is I have a cover on this tank because of these guys, the rainbow fish, they jump. And now this is jutting out. I might take a saw or something and cut this because it's been kind of irritating me anyway. But right now it's actually helping to prop the plants up, so it's just gonna be awkward because there's this hanging lip now. It doesn't fit in. But we'll make do. All right, so thank you for joining me today. That's how I did it.